we are into our now weekly slot on. It's weekend bingo, where Eoin is going to mark a card of bits and bobs that are going to happen over the weekend that you don't really already know about. So we're going to jump right in here, and people can print this out on and obviously have it at hand over the course of the weekend. The popcorn in one hand, the remote in the other hand, and then weekend bingo in the other hand. Obviously, is the objective here. Why don't we kick things off with the inevitable discussions around the combined United Liverpool team?
Yeah, that's first on your weekend bingo card this week. Combined Manchester United and Liverpool teams. This always goes well. This is always a good idea. I guess, is going to be a feature in possibly Sky Sports' build-up if they want to go there again. I know it is always a winner for them when they put Neville and Carragher on together to just make them get their combined Manchester United-Liverpool team. I know last time they did it, it was Keane and Carragher, and that got a week of talking points off the back of it. But expect it to go in other media outlets as well. This is a banker this weekend, and be expected for Liverpool fans and Manchester United fans to both get unbelievably wound up about lack of representation of their team on the combined Manchester United-Liverpool team.
I'm doing everything in my power not to engage in a conversation about what that team is on. And on that basis, I'll move swiftly along to the next category, which also relates to this game and the United manager.
Yeah, you turn on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, a bit of revisionism on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, call it what you want. That is going to happen in spades this Sunday, because it does feel that there has been just a lot of divisiveness around whether or not Solskjaer is the man for the job or not. The truth is, we won't know for sure after Sunday. But in reality, because they're playing Liverpool, because there's a good chance there will be a winner in this game, they will feel like that's it. This is the conclusion. Full stop. Solskjaer is, and then you fill in the blank, either a failure or a legendary manager. It can only go one of two ways. We've had, obviously, Colin Bouygues on the show this week saying that Pochettino should have come in to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He was a brave man putting out that opinion this week. But if Manchester United get beaten, and if they get beaten well, what did Phil say? 3-0 to Liverpool this Sunday? Then there'll be a lot more people putting their head above the parapet and going back to what they originally thought about Solskjaer, despite probably thinking that he was doing all right for the last few weeks. The
referee is a Manchester United fan, is that the point?
Paul Tierney and the conspiracy that surrounds him is next up. So on Anfield.com, this is a quote from the website. One statistic has been noted by Red supporters as a concern ahead of the derby at Anfield, with Paul Tierney having never awarded the club a penalty in his 13 games refereeing the club in the Premier League. Interestingly, he has only once given a penalty against Liverpool too, that being Jorginho's failed spot kicks at Stamford Bridge earlier this season. As Liverpool writer Stephen Drennan pointed out, however, Tierney has given United 5 penalties in his 13 games in charge of the Manchester club. This is it. Illuminati confirmed. The rulers of the world are all wearing Manchester United jerseys. The rulers of the world are all Alex Ferguson, adorers of Alex Ferguson. This is it. He's awarded 5 penalties to Manchester United, 1 to Liverpool. He's refereed them both in 13 games. How is this scandal being allowed to happen? Expect this conspiracy to grow legs over the next couple of days.
Well, that has really shed light for me on a conversation that I've never known fully how to get the grasp on, whether the insinuations were that United players were divers or all referees were secret United fans. But that's shed great light onto it. So thanks for that. Manchester City, according to the next category, are going to tear Crystal Palace a new one at the weekend. Is that the insinuation here?
Well, Phil Foden has started to start games for Manchester City, and as a result, he started to score goals for Manchester City. We all know this guy is good, but because he's English, he is extra good, and it is going to be painted to us that this guy is going to be the next Lionel Messi anytime soon. Of course, Lionel Messi could become a teammate for him anytime soon as well, so I guess it makes sense to compare him to a potential future teammate, but expect the hyperbole around Phil Foden from the British media to go through the roof this weekend, because he's in a rich vein of form, and yes, I expect him to score again.
The next category you've thrown open to our audience.
Well, that's the blank one in the middle. So we leave that blank for a moment. We'll come back to that in the end. So we'll move on to the next square, which is, you obviously just aren't a bingo aficionado. The middle square is always the most important one. It's the last one to fill in. We'll come back to that one at the end. So next up this is not about Frank Lampard. This is going to be this is a win-win for me. This is an absolute banker of a bingo, because if Chelsea win this weekend against Fulham, he will say, Frank Lampard he will say, this is not about Frank Lampard. He will say that quote. He will refer to himself in the third person, which kind of means it probably is a little bit about Frank Lampard, and give all the credit to the players. If they end up losing this weekend, then it literally will have nothing to do with Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard will put the blame on the players and say, well, Edouard Mendy, who he happened to spend a lot of money on, and I signed off on. He made an awful mistake for whatever happened, or he will certainly lay the blame at some of the players' doors. So whatever happens this weekend, it is not about Frank Lampard.
I watched some of his press conference with interest during the week, where he was talking about where Frank Lampard was talking about Scott Parker in terms that you would normally have expected maybe somebody like his uncle to be talking about whippersnappers coming into the game and, you know, what he admired and saw about him. That's 42-year-old Frank Lampard talking about 40-year-old Scott Parker and the attributes that he brings to the table.
Next up, we have, I didn't see that actually. Next up, we've got awkward celebrations. So Tory MPs, they've finally cracked. They've just figured out, and they've had this moment of enlightenment over the last week. They've figured out how they've managed to mess up their own response to the pandemic so badly over the last 10 months, and it is all on Premier League footballers. If you see Premier League footballers hugging and standing within 2 meters of one another this weekend, it is them that have failed, not the Tory MPs. Expect more celebrations this weekend, but expect more celebrations that are very, very awkward, kind of like the first weekend of the Bundesliga when it came back, where it could be Phil Foden celebrating a goal and he goes for the hug and then he pulls out of the hug, or it's going to be a couple of high fives that are not reciprocated, something like that. There's going to be some beautiful awkwardness around it, but also expect a couple of real celebrations that are met with a massive backlash from all those in the House of Commons.
Paul Tierney could get involved in the celebration. That would be a right twist in it. A scandal closer to home you're expecting, Eoin?
Well, I think you're expecting to see a lot of teams hit the beaches this weekend.
I think that there's a possibility that on our weekend bingo, when you get that giant stamp out, you're looking at the Kilkenny footballers are going to hit the beach in Laois, and they're going to bring a soccer goals with them, and they're only going to go score goals, and they're only going to really work in their celebrations, and it'll be on the back page of all the newspapers on Monday morning, and the Kilkenny footballers will be thrown out of the championship from now for the next 20 years.
Bringing shame on our great sport. Finally then, well, second last one, we'll fill in the bottom right square here, and it is dads playing ball, because in the NFL this weekend, it is Brady versus Breeze, a combined age of 210. If you are a dad, or if you have a dad, instruct them to put that ball down, put down that American football. It is too late. You cannot replicate what these guys are doing. You cannot emulate them. Yes, we know they're unbelievably old, but they've got a bit of the work put in already.
What age are they actually?
43 and Breeze 42. Somebody will correct me on that, I'm sure, pretty quickly. Finally then, the middle square, let's fill this in. This goes to our Instagram audience. Ronan Flanagan, congratulations to you. You came up with the best suggestion for our middle square this week. Bielsa to say bueno in his post-match interview. They've been putrid for the last few weeks. I think Ronan Flanagan is right. There might be a little bit of a backlash, and Bielsa will probably meet a 6-0 smashing of Brighton and Hove Albion with that was fine.
Yeah, I think that bingo thing should actually be his interpreter getting the death stare at some point during an interview. That's an absolute banker every weekend. Owen, good stuff. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, thanks.
Crying over the print out the All-Star nominations and shed your tears over them over the weekend, I'm assuming, is plan A.
It certainly is. That's dressing room wall stuff right now. I'd be surprised that Peter Keane already hasn't printed off 40 copies of that to give to every member of his squad.
It is 13 minutes past 9 on this Friday morning. OTB AM live as always with thanks to Gillette. Good morning. Start with Gillette, giving you the confidence to tackle the day ahead. Later this hour, we're going to bring you a little bit of John Giles, also a bit of Brian O'Driscoll's pick for his Ireland 15 right now. Up next, we've got the Crappy Quiz